You've probably seen that the new iPads has been released, and as always they are the most powerful iPad ever and they are stunning. So maybe you thought, wow, this is the right moment to upgrade my third generation iPad from 2011, 12, anyway, old iPad. So you start doing some research and bam, an overwhelming amount of choices. There is the iPad, the iPad Air, the iPad Pro, but also the iPad Pro with the M2 chip, which is not at all an old chip, and also, last but not least, the iPad Mini 6. And what if I told you that probably the one you should get is the oldest one of the lineup? Yep, I'm talking about the iPad Mini 6, which has been released in 2021, and to me, this is still the best option out there if you need a new iPad. Let me explain why in a few points, and maybe by the end of this video you'll be less confused on which iPad you need to pick. By the way, this is not like a proper tech review by any means, it's more like a showcase of my daily use of the iPad Mini. The first and the main reason why I love the iPad Mini so much is the form factor. I personally find the 8.3 inches display the perfect balance between having like a larger display compared to the average smartphone, but not so big like the other iPads. And this to me means that I can use the iPad Mini in every situation, even those situations where it's usually hard to use like a device more big than a smartphone. Like for example, if you are laying on one side on the bed and you are trying to read a book or a manga. And it also means that I can bring the iPad Mini basically anywhere. I mean, this device can fit in anything. You can put it in a small bag, in the pockets of your jacket, in a sling. I mean, I'm not a sling guy, I bought this one to try it out. But again, it fits. No bulk, nothing, light, quite convenient. And if you feel crazy enough, you can even put the iPad Mini in the pockets of your pants. If you're a man, of course, because everyone knows that women's pants doesn't have any pockets for some reason. I'm sorry, I know it's a struggle. To me, this feature, let's call it, is vital, because I like having a larger display with me, but without the hassle to have to bring something more heavier and not so easy to use, like an iPad Pro, Air, or even the standard iPad. The second reason why I love the iPad Mini so much is that it's super versatile, because don't be mistaken, even though it's 3 years old, which in tech age it's kind of old, it's still plenty powerful. So you can do basically anything with it, from the most basic stuff, like for example reading an article, PDF, or watching videos on YouTube and Netflix, or taking notes. Like for example, in my case, it's almost the same size as my notebook. So I don't find any difference in using this one over this one sometimes. I usually prefer writing on paper anyway. You can also draw with the iPad Mini. I know it doesn't have like the largest screen out there, but like if you have to sketch something, it's super capable of that. But beside this basic stuff, you can do a lot more with the iPad Mini. For example, one of my main use is editing picture on the go with Lightroom Mobile, which is something that usually requires a little bit of power, and the iPad Mini has plenty of that. Another use cases that is pretty recent for me, but is very funny, is using emulation on the iPad Mini, because luckily we finally have emulation app on the App Store. So here, for example, I'm playing like a PSP game with the graphics at 4x and it runs so smoothly. I mean, it's mind-blowing. Also, I don't know why, but it seems to me that the iPad Mini is less distracting compared to my iPhone. Maybe because I don't have any social media apps on it and no work emails. Actually, I mentioned that in my recent video where I talked about how I ended my phone addiction without quitting social media. You can find the video here if you want. But not everything shines about this iPad Mini. So I also want to discuss about some of the reasons why maybe you should not pick the iPad Mini 6 as your iPad. Probably the most important reason is that you can use the iPad Mini 6 as your main device. It's too small for that, plus there aren't like many accessories for the iPad Mini out there, like a keyboard for example, which if you need to type a lot I highly suggest you to buy a keyboard, but the one that you find on Amazon are not very good. Also, the battery life on this device is not great. I mean, I can get like 6 hours of screen time, which is not bad at all, but I know that is not enough for a lot of people. You can easily get like a plus 10 hours of screen time on the other iPads. So if you need a device that lasts a lot, the iPad mini is not for you. For me, it's not a problem because I usually use it at home, and even when I bring it outside, it never runs out of battery. But I don't have like that super intense use usually. So this is my take about the iPad mini 6. I hope you find this video useful and see you in the next one. Ciao!